Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bikinis After Babies. Thank you so much for joining us today. It definitely feels like it's been a very long time since we've
It
talked to you
does.
guys, right?
No, I
So
don't know why that is, but here we are.
it's because the chaos of August. It's the busiest
Yes.
month for
Oh
moms.
my
It
gosh,
really
yeah.
is.
That's so
Yeah.
true. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so of course, guys, I'm one of your hosts, Mandy Rochon, here with your other awesome host, Gillian Hughes.
Hey everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm excited to be back. And we just took a little bit of a break last week with back to school and end of summer. And, I think Mandy and I are both the type of people that we tend to overcommit. We're like, it's fine, everything's going to work out. And then we're like, shit, what were we thinking? So, but we have lined up some awesome guests for
Mhm.
September. We're really excited. And we also thought we would start this episode with just a little bit of an intro about what it is that we do outside of this podcast and
Yeah.
what our passion is. Obviously, we love bringing this information to you, but where we got started was in the lifestyle space, coaching clients for weight loss, and we also do competition coaching. We both offer posing coaching, both in person and online. And so if you're listening and you're looking for a coach, or maybe you're just starting your fitness journey, you're not sure competing is for you, but you found us and you have some goals, we are happy to help. We work with women all across the country, all ages, all start points, all athleticism levels, and we would love to talk to you about your goals. So there is a link below if you're interested in learning more, and we'll get on a call with you, talk to you about your goals, and see if we can help you become a momshell.
Yeah, you're never too old and you're never too young. I have clients upwards in the ages of 60, young into their
Yeah.
20s, and I've seen both successes at all different ages. You can accomplish absolutely anything that you put your mind to, and you can when you focus and you stay disciplined and you really set out goals for yourself, I promise you, it you can be unstoppable. And that's definitely what we're here to help you with. We're here to coach you through that, set you up with great nutrition plans, workouts either at home or at the gym. We can make anything happen for you, especially even if like you said, Jillian, not just competition. If you're looking to train for anything and you're needing just additional help, we are here to help you with that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And we do a lot with like women going through perimenopause and women who are
Mm-hmm.
having digestive issues. So the bulk of our clients are lifestyle clients,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes they end up being competitors. So, and even if you don't have children, Momshell Method Fitness can help you too. So we don't ever
Mm-hmm.
talk about it on the podcast. And I thought, that would be a good time to just introduce that. And if you have questions and would like to talk to us, follow the link below. But before we kick off the topic of today's episode, a little clickbaity, I will say, Mandy, why don't you go ahead and fill us in on what you've been up to?
Oh, girl, the month of August, I feel like the month of August is by far the busiest time of year for
Yeah.
me. Like, no holds bar because for
Hmm.
one, of course, it's the time school starts, so we have all the back to school stuff. So this last week was back to school for my son, who is a sophomore, my child. And then, of course, August is his birthday as well. So he turned 15. We had a huge family dinner. We had a family dinner here in Kansas City. And then over the weekend, we went to Springfield and had more of a family birthday party dinner with more family. And it was really fun. It was great to see everybody. So a little bit of travel. And then my son, for his birthday, we got him a motorcycle. That was a hard one, but it's
It's
a
just to like tide him over until he gets his actual driver's license because he got his permit too. I saw that.
yeah. So he wanted to get his permit no matter what, of course, for cars. And he actually got that, like, he studied, he passed it in like 15 minutes. It was like one and done. He was so fast.
Yeah.
I was like proud of him. And we drove around, like he's practice driving and I trust him. He's good. So the motorcycle came into play because he's had friends that have dirt bikes, and he's told us for a long time he wanted a dirt bike. And I'm like, fine, I'm okay with this. And Aaron, my husband, he's had motorcycles before. We've kind of went through that. We've had multiple. And so he asked me if it was okay to, like, should we get this as a gift? We can maybe get like one that's a motorcycle and a dirt bike, and we can make it street legal, all this stuff. I was like, if you feel like you want to do that, that's fine. Sure as shit, 3 days later, they went and bought one.
Typical boys. Yep.
It was easily. So they came home with it, and in the state of Missouri, you can get a motorcycle permit at 15 and a half, and you can drive by yourself to school and to work.
Stop.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Hmm.
that. Of
Yeah.
course. Only in
Yeah.
Missouri.
Only Missouri. So
Wow.
where we live, like it's a really safe area. So to just get on his motorcycle and drive up the street to school, like we live a mile
Is he
from
going
the
to drive it
school.
to school? Like, what about in the snow? Do you get a lot
I
of
don't
snow
think
there? Do you get, we don't get a lot of snow in St. Louis.
you live 3.5
I don't
hours
know.
from
I
us.
realize like more on the snow belt than, I don't know. I'm Canadian. I don't
I feel
know.
like the last, yeah, right. I feel like the last few years, it's not been that snowy,
Okay. We
but
don't get much here.
I don't know. I feel like we get flurries. We don't get snowed in. I'll say that. We get like flurries and pretty snow, but we haven't got like dense snow in a long time, like
Yeah.
snowstorm. But no, I'm sure he'll drive it when it's cold just because it'll be fun. But
Yeah. Oh, that's
yeah,
neat.
so
I didn't know he could actually like drive it like on the street.
and yep, February 20th. So just
Wow.
busy with school and just
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff with him. And like you said, like we just think we can fit everything in. And I feel like moms, we always do that. We're like, we can do it. It's fine. Everything's
Oh,
fine.
totally.
All this stuff. And then all
I
of a
was
sudden
gonna
we're
have a
like,
big party, and I'm like telling everybody in my contact list, like I'm throwing a party at the winery. Like I got my pro card. It's my birthday. I don't have time
Yeah.
for that. Like it would have been like last weekend, and there's no way with the kids going back to school. Like I'm just like, why did I even say that out loud? I'd definitely be like, when's the party? I'm like, Christmas. I don't know. I
Yeah.
can't do it. I'm sorry.
I know you have to rein it back at some point, but
Yeah. Well, and you get out of prep and you think you can like you have all this time. Like, no, you don't. Like it I mean, I'm not doing like, as much cardio and I have more energy, but I don't have more time. And then the kids are now like off of summer break and they're on their schedules, like all the fall sports started up and it's been just like bananas around here. So I don't know what I was
yeah.
thinking, but
So you got to share how was your, back to school week and getting everything going for your kiddos because you have, just a few.
just a few. Yeah. So my oldest is a junior, and then second is Tyler. He is our freshman, and then our Ellie started middle school with Brooklyn, who is 13, so she's in 7th grade, and then Chloe is in elementary school. She started 3rd grade, so three schools, 5 kids. So just all the different like welcome nights, meet the teacher nights. I don't know any of the names of most of the teachers because the middle school and high school kids have so many different teachers.
They do.
I'd know them to see them, but their emails come in. Eventually, like, you get enough and the emails, girl, oh my God, all the syllabuses and all the things you had to sign. So it was just like kind of craziness last week, but it's been interesting. Like the 22nd of August, like marks 1 month that I've had my pro card now. And it feels like just yesterday. Like we had like 6 days back home from Pittsburgh, and then I went on vacation and then came back. It was my birthday. We had the show with clients competing. I did a seminar. I guess it was like last weekend. And the day of the seminar, this is the very first time I get asked to do a seminar as a pro. I'm like, absolutely. Sure, I don't mind. I'll be there with bells on, wake up,
Yeah.
full beat makeup, like ready to go. I got my spray tan. I'm like, I'm a pro, right? And my son calls me and he's at football practice with my other son who dislocated his shoulder. And it's like literally 20 minutes before I'm about to leave for the seminar. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Instantly, like stress, full body sweat, like freaking out. The therapist is like, the physical therapist is like, yeah, it's possible. He's chipped part of his bone off and he needs to have an x-ray. I'm like, oh my God. So anyways, it worked out that we were able to get Tyler's mom to come and take it. The kids are with us on the weekend, but she came and took him to the doctor and got him x-rayed and I got to the seminar. So, but it was my first time speaking to like a crowd as a pro, and I didn't really prepare a speech. I don't really like to do that because I feel like then I'm like trying to, follow a script or whatever. And I probably could have done a little bit better job. I kind of looked at like a bunch of like starving bodybuilder dudes, like who is this tiny little chick and what is she talking about? And then like, some bikini girls, but there wasn't very many. So, but we got to meet one of our clients. Elizabeth came and I got to meet her and I posed with a couple girls afterwards. And I know it was cool. A guy came up to me the other day and he's like, oh, I was sitting at the back of that seminar and, it's really cool that you got your pro card and you kept going. And, that gives us all a lot of motivation. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I inspired men too. I thought really my story only resonated with women. So yeah, that's it. And just kind of like navigating the reverse, which I feel like it's gone really well. I did like have some like stomach stuff that I was dealing with, but I just think I learned I don't have food sensitivities, but I can't eat the amount of certain foods that my body just has to get used to, like if I want to have a treat, I just have to have a little bit of it. My body will get used to it eventually, but I haven't had those things in such a long time. So think you can so easily get like, oh my God, I can't have dairy. And well, if you haven't had it in so long and you go and eat a mass amount of it, your body's not going to like
Or
it. So yeah, so I learned real quick, like, if I'm going to have something, I really have to make sure that it's, like on Saturday night, we had a date night and I cooked at home and I made like street corn and I made
oh, I saw
tacos.
that.
Yeah. And I made it all, like all regular ingredients. Like I used butter and mayo and like everything, but like I didn't have a lot of everything. And I think that did really well. Like I didn't
So
consume too much of any of those like harder to digest things.
yeah, I didn't realize that you made all that from scratch. It's kind of interesting because Friday, like I 100% agree with you. I am the last show I did was in June, so I'm months away from that, whereas you're just 1 month. But it's the same rules apply for me too, being so into reverse and into lifestyle now. But Friday, we were supposed to go out to dinner. We were going to have our date night, and we were just tired. We were so burnt out from the week that we're like, let's just cook at home. So Aaron grilled steaks, but like I did the same thing you did. I made bruschetta bread. I'm going to
Bruschetta.
bruschetta.
Yeah.
But like with mozzarella, balsamic. Aaron wanted creamy mashed potatoes, so I made, of course, that has heavy cream in it, but like all the things that I made at home with regular ingredients. And I had like my steak, my veggies, but I also, of course, I had some little bit of potatoes and the bruschetta. So things that I don't usually eat. But with that being said, I felt totally fine the next morning. But then we went out of town to have family birthday dinner. And I will say, I am just like everybody else. I got kind of lazy. I got kind of a little cranky. And I was like, you know what? I'll just eat what people have here. It will be fine. Mandy will be fine. And it was not fine because I did just that. I was like everybody else and I kind of ate like what everybody had there instead of having my own food. And I woke up Sunday morning and I felt awful because it was too much of like potato salad and like too much of the dairy, too much of the oil. And it was like, I texted you Sunday morning. I was like, I feel awful. Like, I don't feel awful that I made that choice. It was my own choice. I did it. I own it. But I'm like, my body just was like achy and icky. And I'm like, okay, this is why I don't do this.
Yeah. I think just the key is like just a small amount of things. And then you feel like satisfied, like I don't do like a full on cheat meal anymore. Like if we go out to eat, like I'm not even competing till like next summer, but I still have goals. I know what I need to feed my body. But if we go out to eat, like I'll have like a few bites of an appetizer, we'll share, split something. But like, I just know if I have too much of those things, like my body just, and you know what? Sadly, probably some people just have gotten used to it and their body is like, it's fine if I have an entire pizza.
Yeah.
And that's scary too, right? So it's just a personal choice. It's not like, I'm like, no, I'm not ever going to eat that. Unless I had like a medical reason or like a true like intolerance. But you have to understand, if you remove certain food groups or certain things out of your diet for a long period of time, your body's not really producing the enzymes to break those foods down and process them properly. So no, you can't, after not having had any dairy for like 6 months, go and eat, a creamy pasta
Ice
dish.
cream,
Yeah.
cake.
Like your body's not going to like it. Not saying you can't have any, but like just have a small amount. What's funny? The other day I got those like little cheddar mini rice cakes. And I opened the bag and I had one and I turned it around and I was reading it. And Brooklyn, my daughter, is like, oh, Mom, are you just checking to see what the portion size is? Or no, she said, are you checking to see how many you're going to have? And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. And she's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, because that's healthy. Because that's like a portion. Like, I wanted to see what a portion was. Like, I probably can't eat the whole bag. And that's probably where people kind of get a little bit crazy. Like, you don't stop yourself. It's, you eat the whole bag and before you know it, you're like, wow, I've had 7 portions of this,
On Sunday when we stopped at the gas station, I didn't have carbs. Like I just didn't have any with me. So I didn't have any carbs and I was like, I had my veggies, had my protein. And so at the gas station, I grabbed the white cheddar popcorners but I do too, but here's the thing. This bag, it wasn't a mini bag. It wasn't a big bag.
It's tricky.
It was like
it's
a
3
quarter
servings. Oh,
yeah.
wait. It
was like a Yeah, it was like a quarter of a
You could
bag.
easily eat the whole thing, and I have.
Yeah, well, so I looked at the back of it and I was like, okay, if I eat the whole thing, this counts for X, and doing the same thing you did. And so we're in the car, and it's funny because Carson, he sees me do this, and he doesn't care that he doesn't pay any attention, but he got a drink. I can't remember what it was called. It was like some probiotic ginger ale. His dad got it for him, because he had an upset stomach. And Carson hands me it, and he's like, Mom, can you read the back of it? I think it's lying. I don't see how it's supposed to be a prebiotic or probiotic drink. And of course I looked at the back. I'm like, it's fine. It's totally fine, kiddo. Like, it's normal to read the back of things. Like, we have a right to know what we're eating, especially when like the nutrition or the big companies, they're allowed discrepancy, and they're allowed to lie like a little bit on the nutrition labels. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay
Someone
for
had
us
a question about that that
They're
hot
allowed
sauce
to-
that I use, and said, how can it be zero if it has like oil and Parmesan or something in the ingredients? And it's because the caveat is you can only have 5 mils. Most people are not doing that, right?
Yeah.
Just like spray butter is like really nothing if you spray just 5 times. But if you spray 10 times, what is it? And the manufacturers, they don't have to put those numbers if you just follow that serving size. But what you don't know is, well, what is it if I have? They don't want to tell you that, right? So, but yeah, I mean, the isn't Lenny and Larry's that company that got in a lot of trouble because they weren't disclosing the truth in their labels, and like I think their cookies had like 7 times as much fat as they said on the label.
I feel like they got in trouble, but there was another company recently that got in trouble, and I'm totally blanking on the name. But
Yeah.
here's another fun fact about the way that we market to, people, and the way that big business is allowed to market to people. So they will actually intentionally make sure that the portion, because they get to pick their serving size, they get to pick their portion size, they
like
get
half
to control
a
that.
cookie. Like no one eats half a cookie.
So they will pick their serving size based on what they can get away with putting on front. So if they can put on front 0 sugar, 0 carbs, 10 whatever, if you look at the back, it will be like, if you eat a fourth a cup of all of this, it will equal that. But in reality, nobody's ever going to eat just a fourth a cup of that. But they can put that, and then that will allow them to be able to mark on the front of the label whatever they want. But they're also allowed the 20% discrepancy in the percentages.
Is that just America, or is that in other
It's
parts?
just America. Nope.
Yeah.
It's only America.
Just like you have to be careful with things that say like no sugar or no carbs, because like this happens all the time with that Hughes, which I don't own, by the way. People always ask me, they're like, "Oh, what's your barbecue sauce?" I'm like, "It's not mine. I wish it was." But like the
I was like, huh?
yeah,
But
Hughes,
your
like
name, your name.
yeah. They have like sugar-free barbecue sauce, ketchup. They also like now have like a yum
Marinades.
yum sauce. Like the stuff you get at the hibachi.
But
And
it's not zero. It's not.
it's 0 sugar, but it's not zero.
Is
It's
it?
not low calorie. It's like they don't have any added sugar in it, which I think makes it great for diabetics, but it's got oil and stuff in it, so it's not low calorie. Because one of my clients was like, "Oh, I got it all," and like showed me her shopping cart, and she literally had bought like the fry sauce and like the yum yum sauce, the ketchup, and I was like, "Well, anything that's creamy, like it's got to go." I'm like, "Flip it over, look at the back," and she's like, "Oh my god, this like one serving has like 18 grams of fat." I'm like, "Well."
That's like candies are getting away with that too now. They'll say 0 sugar, but they're not really 0 sugar. I went on a big rant the other day.
I saw your Facebook post about it. Yeah, it was a good one.
Because in the candy aisle, Target took up like this whole giant section of bullshit basically. And it was just like, it's so shitty because normal people follow the news. Normal people follow these things, and they're just trying to do what's best for their family, and it's not
Yeah, it's a shame.
it's not fucking fair. Like it's setting them up for failure, because they're going to be like, "Oh, well, my kiddo has a problem paying attention, so I'm going to buy these little gummy fish to like." That's what I saw. If you guys look, it was
Yeah.
little gummy fish that was supposed to like help focus, but
Help
if you
your
actually
kid focus, but it was
Yeah,
just
but
one
if you-
sugar.
it was sugar and oils, and they were like little gummy and it's
And
actually
they had like B vitamins or something in it, like hardly
I
anything
can't
that would ever help you.
something. And I'm like, for one, go get a fish oil gummy. Okay, like at least that has 6 grams of sugar, not 30.
Yeah.
And then like you're gonna wonder why your kid is gonna crash later, and they're gonna need more of it. It's a vicious cycle. Big business, America. We're a good capitalistic country.
And we all fall for it too, because you know what I did the other day?
What'd you do?
I had a bellyache because I was like, oh, and I bought mushroom coffee. Ugh. Girl,
I see this everywhere.
don't
Did
do
you
it.
not like it? No.
Okay, someone's gonna come for me, and you know what? If you have a better one, please tell me what it is, because this tastes.
Why did you
so...
try it first?
Okay, it had a lot of great benefits, like not only like digestion, which we're all on the quest for better digestion, but it was like, attention and focus and, adaptogens and all that, just like hit all the right spots when I was, shopping in my bed and should be sleeping. And so I was like, like I love trying things. Like I'm definitely that person. And I feel like sometimes I like to be that person for other people, because I'm like, I'm crazy enough to try it, and then I'll tell everybody if it's good or bad, right? I've always kind of been that person, like with my social media. I'm like, I love it and I said so, or I hate it. Don't anybody waste your money on it. And so I tried this mushroom coffee, and it wasn't the one that, like, my friend Erin does one that she really likes, and I bought this one. I was like, is this one you use? She's like, no, it's this one. I'm like, oh shit. Well, and it's terrible. First of all, it doesn't taste like coffee. Second of all, it tastes just like dirt, and there's nothing I could do to save it. I even tried to put it in my protein shake. And it wasn't good. So, I mean, but then I feel like, it was a silly purchase. I was like 3 weeks post show and still kind of a little cloudy. Like, my sleep wasn't like regulated yet, and it had just been really busy. But like this week, like, towards the end of the week with the kids, like getting into their schedule, and now like I'm a month post show and like everything's kind of regulating. I'm like, I never needed mushroom coffee. Like I feel like the old Gillian again, So it's just like stupid. Like how much money do we spend on shit that we don't need because we're just we're not patient enough to let our bodies just like do what they're supposed to do. So anyways,
I remember the biggest craze. I don't hear it that much anymore. I really don't, but I remember how fat burners were like the biggest craze for so long.
Yeah.
And it's like, what fat burner are you taking? It's like, no, I'm sorry, there's not a magic pill. There is not a magic pill.
I've not taken a fat burner in years. And that surprises some people. A lot of first time competitors will be like, what do you recommend for a fat burner? Like, don't all competitors use them? I'm like, I hope not. I mean, no one on our coaching roster does. Like, we don't give them to our clients. They're not safe. If you want appetite suppressant, like, sometimes I'll recommend like berberine or, something like that. But also, again, and we're way on a tangent, by the way. That's what I just did. I looked up like in the sky, like, how did we get here? Yeah, appetite. Well, we don't even go into that. We've done that before on a prior episode. I'll link it below. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to bring up in the preamble before we start the real podcast is I had a wonderful birthday present. Mandy, my bestie, hooked me up, got me on Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast.
I cannot wait for it to air. I can't wait to listen to it.
I mean, it, like, when like the start of it and the music and everything, like, I mean, it just gets me like, oh, I'm so excited. And I've listened to like probably all 350 episodes. Like I really have. And we've talked about Celeste on the show. She is the host. She's wonderful what she does. She's the founder of Build More Than a Body. She works with a lot of women on their relationship with food. And it was just it was a lovely, lovely chat. I cried a couple times. I swore I wasn't going to, but we just got deep a couple times. And when you start to open up to somebody. But yeah, it was a really cool opportunity. And it was neat to talk about, like, not so much like stuff I've already talked about a lot, like, what I ate and, who, all this stuff. It was like just like mindset stuff and like about my family and about my divorce. Like it was juicy. So that comes
That'll
out
be a good
on,
listen.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. So that's coming out September 20th, but we have the pleasure and honor of having Celeste come on our podcast a few days later. She'll be on the episode. I don't know when it airs. It'll be the end of September. She's coming on the 23rd. So we wanted to. Oh, sorry.
I think it's going to air at the beginning of October, the first week of October.
It is, yeah. I have the schedule. So, here not too long, she'll be coming and sitting down with us. And we want to know what your questions would be for Celeste around the area of relationship with food and body image. And all of that's really an area that she specializes in. And so when we have an expert on, we want to make sure that we ask the things that you guys want to hear. So drop below what you would like us to ask Celeste when she comes on. That's celestial.fit is her website for anybody that's interested in healing their relationship with food. And I'm excited to have her on.
Yeah, she's super, super sweet. I honestly, I had the honor of competing with her and being on the same team with her back in 2017. I think it was 2017 or 17 or 18. we got to compete together. I think it was right after she published her first book. And it was so funny when we were, backstage just bullshitting together and getting to know each other and just all this stuff. And she was just such a sweet girl. And she had all this ambition and all these goals. And I'm like, girl, you go do that. And just to see it all like come to fruition and build more than just a body, everything she's done and how like she's helped
so many people.
So many. Like and the fact like it's such a common thing in our industry is to have, I don't want to say eating disorders because it's not eating disorders, but just understanding your relationship with food, understanding your mindset connection with food, your digestive system, how you feel, like just all of that, and how she kind of goes about all of it. And she has, I'm pretty sure, a master's degree or bachelor's. Yeah, she's like really, educated herself so she can come and like help women like us and everybody in our industry.
I think like the most encouraging part of it for me was hearing her say, you don't have to quit bodybuilding to heal your relationship with food. Because when I was really struggling in my 20s and there were no resources, I went to several different therapists who everybody told me to stop competing. My family told me to stop competing, all these things. And I was like, but this is way rooted in my childhood. Like, even if I stop competing, I'm still going to have issues with food. Like, they existed like all through my teenage years before I even picked up bodybuilding magazine, decided to compete. So I think it's just so great for our sport and for women to not have that be the reason why they stop competing, because there is a way to do it. And I'm recovered from anorexia and binge eating, and it was a long, long road, but it's because of people like Celeste who have the information to share with people that I was able to navigate that and heal and go on to do what I wanted to do and what I love. So I'm really, really excited to have her on. And yeah, so if you've got any specific questions, just let us know. Unless you're watching it after the fact, then go to that episode and check it out. I think it'll be like episode 41, I think.
I can't remember episode. I just saw the schedule and it's going to be.
Can you believe we're like almost at 50 episodes?
We're almost at our year mark, which is nuts. It's so nuts. Oh my God.
It's crazy.
It is. Like, just talked about so much. We've met so many people, and we love all you guys that listen. Like, we love doing this for you guys, and that's why we always want to know your feedback. We always want to know any questions you have, people you want to have on, things like that, because it's just we want to keep giving to the community as much as we possibly can and help as many people as we can. So it's like, I can't believe it's going to be a year soon.
It's crazy. It's so exciting. It's been such a cool year, and I just can't wait for what's to come. And we've got some really exciting guests coming up, and So, anyways, wow, that was a 27-minute intro. I did not expect it. But also,
we had segments. We
did. Yeah. And and hopefully we're keeping you company, whatever you're doing, wherever you are in the world. But today's episode,
you can do the cardio, I promise. You're hitting your
Yep.
Go.
There's not much time left. Yep. 27 minutes. I don't know how much time you got left, but we'll hopefully got you through most of it. So anyways, today's episode is That Didn't Go As Planned, ending a prep early.
Dun, dun, dun.
Da, da, da. And I'm not talking to either of us, but right now. But
we both have stories.
But we have stories, and that's really why I brought this topic to Mandy, because I was like, we've done part one of this, which is why you think you're not ready and whatnot. But I've just seen on my social media. We're getting towards the end of summer. The season kind of ends, like, the Olympia is coming up, and then like it's October, November, and then really, things kind of slow down, at least as far as the Masters shows go. Oh, there is one in December for Masters. So, but
this is a big weekend coming up right now.
Yeah. North Americans is this weekend. So, but yeah, it might be the case where you started this year and you said, this is the year. I'm going to hit the stage and I'm going to be competitive. I'm going to do everything it takes. I'm going to accomplish whatever the goal might be. I'm going to win my class. I'm going to win an overall. I'm going to go to nationals. I'm going to win a pro show, like whatever it might be. And when it doesn't go that way, it can be really tough. And we want to talk about it today because it's also not the end of the world. And we have stories ourselves and people that we know. So Mandy, why don't you go first and share, I don't know if you've got more than one story of having to end a prep early, but yeah, let's start there.
Oh man. So I'm trying to think of where to start even. Like we'll even start with this year, obviously. Like I had a whole like step-by-step guide of exactly how I wanted this year to go, how I thought it was going to go, and it definitely didn't go my way. So, which I've already shared that plenty enough on the
Well, let's
episodes.
recap though, like what you
Okay.
initially, when we first started talking about this year and what we wanted to do, like what was your
Yeah.
initial plan?
Yeah, so my initial, I'll share two pretty, I have three actually. One, I'll share all three because one's kind of short. But no, I actually, it's almost been a full year. Last September, I started my prep. And of course, I had plenty of time because I wasn't going to do a show till the spring. Or March, spring, winter into spring. And my goal was very cut and dry. It was actually just exactly like you said, do a few NPC shows, hop into nationals, do the national circuit, however I need to. And like the goal would be the pro card. I was going to do one or two NPC shows. I was going to do Universe with you. And then I was going to, if I didn't do well at Universe, I was going to do North Americans. So that was like, it was very cut and dry. The game plan was already laid out. Like it was set. So obviously I did my first show in March and I didn't do that well. And it shook me a little bit, but I was like, okay, like what can I do with the feedback I got? Like, let's see the few tweaks that I can do. So, which I did do that, and then come in June and I did better, but I had hurt my back. I was destroying. It felt like I was destroying. I shouldn't say that because I wasn't destroying. I was just in an immense amount of pain. I had two bulging discs that were causing me nerve pain down my leg, which made it hard to push through cardio to the point where I was in so much pain that the conditioning that I needed to get to be competitive on a national stage, I just couldn't do. Like I mentally couldn't do it. I had so much stuff going on with my son with soccer. I was still expediting shows. I knew the calories that I needed to drop and this cardio I needed to increase, and I just knew that the pain that I was in, I just couldn't do it. And I was like, I gotta stop. So I knew June I was done. I had so much fun at that show. I knew I knew I wasn't gonna do any more shows this year. But I because I made that decision, I was okay with it. And I was like, yeah, I wanted this year to be, if you're watching quotation marks, my year and all this greatness. But I had so many great things happen this year, like for my prep. We started this podcast. I got a sponsorship from Toxic Angel Bikini. I was expediting all these shows. I met all these great people. I did a seminar like you did here in Kansas City, and just meeting all the people. I was okay closing the doors for my season. So that's kind of a recap of that. In my earlier years, I will say when I was younger, I did not financially budget properly for a show one year, and I was really strapping my family. This is the whole mom story too. Like, how it is. Like, your family has to come first, and I was probably a month out from a show, and I did not budget properly, and this was in my younger 20s. And I couldn't do it. Like I couldn't pull the money from my family to do it. So I actually stopped. I stopped at prep then. And then the beautiful year of 2020,
Yeah.
I had just started. So I had literally been like maybe 2 months in, and then the pandemonium happened. And I was like, it's not like I was 8, 7, 9 months in and, grinding it through. I had just started. So I was like, we're gonna hold off a minute to see how the world goes.
Yeah.
But those are, so I've had a little bit of everything, I guess through my career. But what about you? So what, have you ended a show before early or called it,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in 2009 when I did, I won the Missouri State the first year they had Bikini, and I think there was like 5 people. And then I went to North Americans and nearly turned pro. And I don't even think I was 35 yet. No, I think I was in my early 30s. Yeah. And so anyway, so the following year, I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to nationals and I'm going to get my pro card. And I got pregnant with Brooklyn. So I was like, a month into prep and then got pregnant. So that was one. And then after my divorce, I did a show, and I think it was maybe Masters Nationals or North Americans. And I cracked the top 10, which I was very surprised because Bikini had changed so much in like the 7, 8 years since I had done a national show. And I had done a lot of just like regional shows. And so I had won a show in Kansas City. And then, so the next year I decided to do North Americans, and I got 10th place, I think. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do the Arnold is what I thought would be great. Like, it's Columbus, like I could probably drive, and I've always wanted to do the Arnold. And it was just a matter of finances. I was a single mom, and, really just looking at the budget of everything. And, it did set me back a little bit doing the national show. I had traveled with like 2 friends and, really budgeted very well to be able to do that. I had a sponsor at the time, so I got some of my travel covered, and then that sponsorship ended. So it was like, it's just not going to work out. So that was a financial reason why I stopped. But I think in that case, it was, again, I was only like a month or 2 in. And then in 21 and 22, of course, I had those 2 summers of like almost turning pro, very close to turning pro. So at the end of my season of 2022, I said, I'm not stopping. I'm going to keep going. And I was like dealing with some bloating and some like irregularity. And I was just like, it's fine. Like, everybody deals with that. But it kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I was trying to stay close to stage weight because I knew I was going to prep for Clash in March. So I did Masters Nationals in July, and then I just tried to stay lean through the end of summer, through the early fall, so that I could, go into a prep easily. And it was just a disaster. Like, my digestion was terrible. I think you had just started working with me at Momshell at that time. I mean, and I was conditioned for like a photo shoot, but not stage conditioned at all. And like it was like my bloating was so irregular. Like it didn't matter. Like, it was the same food I would always eat would sometimes bloat me. It sometimes wasn't. But I was really ignoring a lot of signs of like cortisol issues. Like, I remember my eye would twitch randomly, and I was like, God, it's so annoying. It wouldn't stop, which is like a huge sign of like, having cortisol issues. So my body was very, very stressed. I just didn't take any time off, and I really should have.
Yeah.
And we were just dealing with some stuff with, stepkids and
home life.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a navigating sort of a bit of a journey at that time. And I was trying to grow, I was in a business academy, which was like really like what felt like going to school and like scaling the coaching company. And I had brought on like you and 4 other coaches. And so there was just, I had a lot on my plate. So I did the show, and I was like, that was going to be my warm up to like what would have been probably nationals. And I think I flew down to Florida, and I said to my husband, I'm like, I'm done after this. Like, I got to get this figured out. Like, I don't feel well. I don't look great. My stomach is, bothering me a lot. So I really had to fix that. And that was like 2023, which I felt like, okay, like, I got second at Masters Nationals. Like, this is my year to turn pro. I can't take time off. I can't step away. But I really, really had to address my health. Because somewhere along the line, somebody said to me, like, you aren't what you eat, you are what you digest. And I'm like, I feel like that makes so much sense, because I didn't look muscular. Like, I would look at my photos of me at the same stage weight, and I just looked thin. I didn't have the pop. I didn't have the conditioning. I looked tired. My hair was, dull, and I was an emotional mess. So I had to stop my season there, which, was awful, because then I'm watching like, Masters Nationals and, North Americans, and, I'm like, am I going to be able to come back after this? But I'm really glad that I did, because I had to fix my gut health. And I feel like that was something that I didn't open up about on social media, because I knew people were going to be like, it's bodybuilding. It's that bodybuilding thing that ruined your gut. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, my life is a disaster. Like, we're struggling with all these things, navigating, just sort of a new territory and trying to get through it. And just, I had pushed my body too hard, like I prep typically for like 6 months, and they always say like, you need at least that time and a little bit more to properly reverse. And I gave myself no time, so, and then probably too, like, medicating some of the stress with wine, I was like, antioxidants, like, no, it's like so bad for your liver, like not helping your gut issues at all. So yeah, I fixed all that. And so what I'm saying is that I ended up taking off the rest of 2022. And it was the best thing I ever did, like, it allowed me to like really, grow the business and then get healthy. And now, having gone through like a gut healing protocol and being able to like sort of spot that issue in other people and also prevent others from going down that road, people that I coach, like,
Yeah.
hey, easy going. Like, I know where this goes. If you continue on this road with all this caffeine and all this stress and no sleep, I'm going to tell you where you're going to end up, because I was there. So, in a lot of ways, like, that's helped other people. So,
That is, yeah, I remember when you were going through that and you didn't want to share it because you were trying to, well, you were trying to figure it out yourself too. Like you weren't sure
I
either.
didn't want a bunch of advice from
Yeah,
people.
exactly. And it's always tricky to navigate. But like I swear, like it's like what you said at the beginning of this episode is like we get so as people, we get so used to feeling shitty because we get so used to eating the shitty food, so we feel shitty. It's like it's the same like with caffeine, it's the same with stress. Like I have a big thing with stress because I'm always very chill, very calm. Even when I go through shit, like of course I cry, of course I get upset. I try to do it in a manageable way, but like stress is a huge deal. Just like you said, the eye twitching, like if you're very stressed out, you're drinking all this caffeine, like sure you might like get some sleep, but are you getting like full rested real sleep? Like are you actually getting deep rested sleep? Because that's where we recover. That's where we can,
Yeah.
rebuild our body, because as your immune system shot because of this, it's like this like domino effect. And I feel like we're so used to like feeling stressed and shitty
Yeah,
sometimes
it's
that you
almost
don't
like
even.
celebrated in our field too. Like, the more hardcore your diet is and the more cardio you do and the earlier you get up. I mean, I used to post timestamps like at the gym 3:30 in the morning. Now I like want to punch that girl in the head. Like, what were you thinking, Jillian? Like,
Yeah.
I absolutely ran myself into the ground, but I felt like that's just what you do. Like if you want to be successful, like you've got to grind 24/7. And yeah, to a certain degree, but like you got to know when it's too much, when it's starting to affect your
Yeah.
health. And that's what can be hard. Like, I think this sport really draws high functioning women and they just don't know when to pull back because that feels like I'm making excuses or I'm being lazy or I'm cutting corners. But like, you've got to take rest days. You have to take care of your health. You have to manage stress because you won't get anywhere. And I'm lucky that I stopped when I did, because people will ignore that and it cascades over into their hormones, and then they have estrogen dominance, all sorts of other things going on. Like, I didn't push it to the point where I was, having issues. Like my thyroid was starting to suffer, but I really didn't. But I see it all the time, and it can be fixed, but it's just, you don't want it to be too late. And then, and I think about just like my relationships too, like during that time when I was feeling that way, like when you don't know if you're going to be able to wear pants without tying a sweatshirt around your waist because you could be bloated, like, and because it's unpredictable, like it really affects your self-esteem and affects your lifestyle. It
Yeah.
affects how you feel. I was very short-tempered. I was really just upset. I couldn't fix it. I didn't know what was wrong. And I mean, opened my cabinet and I was on like 20 different supplements for digestion and enzymes and probiotics, prebiotics, and gut support, all the shit you could take just trying to fix it on my own. And I
So
had gone to
overwhelming.
doctors, yeah, and the
Hmm.
doctors were just like, it's just bodybuilding. And I'm like, I'm telling you it's not. Like, so anyways, yeah, it's just, I
Doctor.
think it's just a
Yeah.
matter of like listening to your body. And now I'm totally different. Like,
Hmm.
I'm like woosah, like I can't let myself get stressed because as soon as I do, I get a bellyache. And, I avoid a lot of processed foods because I just know all those chemicals, and I've really cut back on caffeine, and I don't do any hit cardio. I don't go to the gym at 3:30 in the morning anymore. So,
Yeah.
um, so yeah, I learned a lot for sure.
Yeah, I'm actually, for you listeners out there, I am a huge caffeine drinker. I have always drank so much caffeine. I don't have I don't have a problem with caffeine. That's kind of why I've always been like that. Like I can drink a pot of coffee plus extra foo drinks. I can drink coffee in the afternoon and I can sleep fine. But like I recently had a doctor's visit and it was intense. There's a lot of stuff we went over, but like one of the biggest things that we talked about was my caffeine intake. And she cracked me up though, because she was like, listen, girl, I love coffee too. Like I do. But like you gotta fix it. And I'm like, ah, fine. So I feel like anybody can do a prep, and I think everybody should do a prep because like you realize like how in control you can be of everything. So I
Hmm.
literally the next day was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I have 1K cup of whatever K cup I have that has caffeine, and the rest of the day I drink decaf. Like this foo drink I got from my husband got me from Dutch Bros because I got stupid mad at him for something earlier. I was trying to tell him a story. He wasn't listening. And then 5 minutes later, he did one of those, like, ask me the question of the story I just told him. And I'm like, you weren't listening to me. He's like, I'm going to go get you coffee.
You have him trained, girl.
So it's decaf, but it's a decaf latte with, like, sugar-free stuff in it. But
and I'm sure, like, we're going to get asked for expert advice on this. And we've talked about possibly doing this as an episode, like talking about stress management and cortisol and hormones and gut health. And I'm happy to answer anyone's questions, but I feel like we probably need like an expert to come on to really explain what that is all about and what's going on, because I don't want to give anybody false hope that I was able to fix myself and they think that they can too, because some people genuinely do have some underlying issue. When I was going through that, I was tested for SIBO. I was tested for a gluten allergy. I had scopes and scans and everything came back normal. So I had no other choice but to go down the route of trying to fix myself and I did a flush, and then I did all that. So that was my only option. But other people, I don't want you to, think that that's the way you need to do things too. So we're definitely open to hearing if anybody has a recommendation for an expert that could come on and talk to our listeners about this stuff. Because I think it's very common. Like once I kind of start opening up to people about dealing with that bloat, you don't have to feel that way. Like there is an underlying, and I think that's what that taught me is like when you have a symptom, like what's the underlying cause? Like, that mindset, really instead of just like, well, stick a Band-Aid over it and take this supplement, like let's see what could be causing those issues. So.
Yeah. And this is all like really good examples of like why you and I in totally different ways stopped like competing, and we had to take a break. Kind of like our previous episode, we're talking about like, stopping competing, or if you're ready to do a show. So if you feel like you've mapped out like a whole strategy of like, this is how I'm going to get my pro card, and there's multiple things that happen along the way that really are red flags per se, that it's okay for it not to be your year. It's okay for you to be like, this feedback, let's say you got feedback that you need to build more muscle. Well, that's not going to happen in 2 weeks. That's not going to happen in 4 weeks. Maybe it's time to be like, okay, I might do another NPC show and get another feedback and make sure, nothing's wrong with that. But if you feel like, you're not doing as well as you should be on an NPC level, and you want to, be like, no, I made a plan 5 months ago that I'm going to go to nationals, and you do go to nationals, even though you weren't ready to go to nationals, and there was a lot of red flags on the way. Nothing is wrong with not going to nationals. Nobody, for some reason, I feel like we believe that because like, I'm a perfect example. I laid out all my shit for the world to see. Like, I put my life out there like an open book. If you see me in person, if you would have seen me in person back in March, I would have been like, yeah, I'm going to North Americans. Like, I will say it. And then the second I was done in June, I was like, nope, not going to North Americans. But like, nothing is wrong with changing your plan, and nobody's going to be mad at you for it or disappointed at you for it. You got to do what's right for you and
it's your life.
And it's your, it's your career. If this is like going to be your career, if this is like your platform to catapult you to what, the next level is to be a pro, like you really got to look at yourself and be like, it's time to, pack it up and try again next year or whatever the case may be.
And you'll redeem yourself. Like you will. Like it was, I got last at Clash. In every category I did, I was last. I'm like, okay, this is embarrassing. But I was like, it's okay, because this isn't where it ends. I know that there's more to this story, and I know that I've done all I can right now, and to be continued. And if anybody's keeping close eyes on what I'm up to, they're just going to have to wait, because you always feel like, you owe it to the people at your gym or people who follow your journey or whatever. And, people care for about 5 seconds, and probably just because they care about you, because, they knew it was something that was important to you. But the stage is not going where. I've said that a million times, and I think sometimes people worry like, oh gosh, like I feel like I'm building some momentum, if I stop now, well, you're just going to come back better. And then that momentum means nothing if it's like momentum and you like, don't achieve the goal because you didn't have what you needed to bring. And if you do need more time, and certainly like this kind of goes back to like our other episode where we talked about like, what if you're not ready, and like be realistic. Cause sometimes people think that they aren't ready for a show, or they overthink the level of talent, and they really don't know, they don't have any feedback to go off of. They're just kind of like, oh, I don't think I'm good enough, I don't have as much muscle, or I'm not as lean, or whatever. You've got to really have like the feedback to go off of, and go, okay, well, they did say like, I need this to be fuller, this more muscle here, more shape here, which that means I need to take time, and that's okay. There's no hurry. And I also think too, like, I don't think there needs to be such a hurry to get out of the NPC and get to the pro level. Like, it's not really supposed to be quick. Like, it is
Yeah.
supposed to be a process, like, and when they used to do shows back in the dinosaur times, you had levels and you couldn't just go. And I think in Canada, they still do. I think they have like different levels you have to go through. And like, I don't think you can like use your qualification from the prior year like we can here. Like, here, if you place your national qualification is good for like 365 days. Like, it doesn't
Oh
end
yeah,
at the end
yeah.
of the calendar year. Whereas I think in some countries for sure it does. And you got to start all over
Mm.
again. And then there's some federations that if you don't keep competing as a pro, you don't get to keep your pro card. So,
Oh.
it's a different topic, but I'm just saying too, like, take your time in the NPC. Like, just because you get nationally qualified doesn't mean you need to go to nationals. And I think it kind of stinks to like go out there and you did really well at the regional level. Maybe you didn't win a show or whatever, but you're nationally qualified, and then you go in and you get like last, like, and it's so expensive to do that. So take your time
Yeah.
and get experience and have fun and rack up some trophies. There's well, she's the host of the Prep Life podcast, Amy Enger. I talked to her backstage at a show, and she's like, I did like 15 shows before I even ever thought of going to nationals. Like, what's nationals? Like, I don't know why I would want to go there. Like, am I even ready for that? But
Yep.
I feel like because of the times that we're in, and we have all these women that we see on social media, it's like, oh, I want to be a pro one day, right? But it's like fast forwarding through like all the good stuff and all the experience that really makes you ready for that level. Because then if you go from your pro show to like from winning your pro card into the pro level, it's like, you've got to be ready for it. Like, and I worked on my pro routine. I was telling you,
Yeah.
I was like dust off the heels and try to work on a routine that's now 3 times as long as my NPC routine. And I'm like, whoo, this is interesting and
You gotta
long.
do a
And
little dance.
yeah, so that's going to take time. Like, I feel like I need a long time to be ready to do that. And, so I'm not going to compete till next summer, but yeah, just don't be in such a damn hurry, take the time. That's what really builds the best, strongest mentally and physically athlete.
Yeah, and especially like again, if you are doing really good at the NPC level, like don't feel pushed. I see this also a lot. Like if you're relatively new in the sport, or yeah, I mean usually I always see it with people that are I would say at least like new up to like maybe 3 years into the sport. If you're new and like you're with your coach and your coach is like, oh, you're killing it, you're doing so good, and they're pushing you to do nationals and you're not sure and you don't know, and but like you feel really good, do your own research. Go to npcnewsonline.com. Go, you can YouTube some of the, like, obviously, like, we're almost at the, we're at fall. So you can see, like, you can YouTube the most recent national shows. You can see, like, exactly what the competition looks like. Do you look like that? Do your stage shots look like that? Does your routine kind of look like that? Look at the top 5 girls that are placing in those shows. Don't feel like just because like your posing coach, your friends, your family are like, "Oh, you're perfect. Go do it." Don't don't let that necessarily get into your head if you don't feel ready. There's nothing wrong with saying like, "Hey, I don't really look like these girls and I don't want to get dead last, or I don't want to get third call outs. Like, I want to try again next year." There's nothing wrong with like sticking up for yourself and like kind of placing those boundaries. I've seen a lot of times where girls will just, win an overall and then just like rush. They'll rush to nationals. And they just get hammered. And it will mess with them. It messes with their mindset. They don't understand. They feel really upset or wrecked, or
It's a
then
bad
it's like
feeling, like to
it
go and to
is.
feel like, oh shit, like what did I sign up for? Like you went from like feeling like on top of the world to like you're backstage and you're just like, oh crap. You know, it's
Yeah.
not fun. It doesn't feel good. And I think it takes a really strong person to come back from that. You know, you want to
Mm-hmm.
feel really prepared so that when you strip down backstage, you're like, let's go, you know, like you
Mm-hmm.
feel ready, like, cause then it's fun. Right. And if you don't feel
Yeah.
like that, it's just, you know, it makes for not a good day. And then I see a lot of people never return to the stage because of that,
Mm.
or they wait too long and they have that bad experience and bad taste in their mouth, you know? So I think I think that we need to like think long and hard about nationals. Really, 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 really. Like it's not just a let's just see how we do, you know, like it's very serious, very competitive and I think but I'm seeing honestly people making smart decisions and going, you know, when I get out there, I want to be a contender. You know, I don't want just want to go
Yeah.
out there, you know, because these photos are like captured in time forever, right? And, you know, so I think I am seeing, and because also I think like we're at the economy where it is right now, and you know, people are being a little bit smarter with you know their money and maybe spending more time doing shows that are closer to home that are more affordable just to kind of get that experience. And I think that's awesome. Like it builds so much. And while you're competing and doing that, you're just getting better for that next level, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah, and you can make game plans in your head and then you can change them also. Like these shows aren't going anywhere. Usually you can register, like look at where the shows that you want to do and see what they're like how long you can wait to register. You don't got to register like 7 months out. Like wait till before the late fees hit and then like register right before the late fees and then that way cuz that's so close usually. Usually you're like 3 or 4 weeks out at that point.
yeah.
But yeah, there's no reason you have to pay for everything so fast up front, you know. Sit down, look at your budget, look at do again don't rely on other people to tell you things. Like look up your own hair, tan, and makeup. Where are the sources? Where's the shows you want to do? Are you gonna have to stay in a hotel? Are you gonna have to do, you know, XYZ? Plan out your own stuff and
Hmm.
be really self-reliant and responsible for all your stuff because you need to control that day because you put in all the work and all the effort and then that way you can control your budget as well so finances don't become mixed up in this because the last thing again is stress. You don't need to be
Yeah.
stressed about, you know, money or, you know, your budget while you're getting like 3 weeks away from a show, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you don't need that in your life. So
No,
it
exactly. It should
mm-hmm.
just sort of all feel smooth and like it's like meant to be and flowing, right? When it all comes
Yes.
together.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
if you're listening and you've had a change of plans and things didn't go the way that you planned, it's okay. You just pivot and the stage isn't going anywhere and just, you know, spend the time that you've now got to just get better. You know, I think that if once you get past the disappointment, because I think that can be maybe the hardest part is not necessarily what other people say or anything, but just sort of the letdown of like, this is something that I really love and something that I really want to do. And I'm sad that I can't do it. Once you get kind of past that, then just start focusing on the future and sort of what your next goals are and how you're going to get there, make a plan and just keep working towards it because, you know, it's not the worst thing. I mean, you know, the shows are not going anywhere. We've all had
Yeah.
to, you know, I
If
mean, look,
anything,
we just
there's
said
more
three
of them.
shows. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. There's shows everywhere and, you know, and
All
then
the
you'll
time.
come back more prepared and, you know, and then you'll
Mm-hmm.
be able to share a story of, hey, it didn't go the way I wanted to last year, but now look.
Yeah.
So
Now you
yeah.
come back better.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
well, guys, we thank you so much for listening. And again, to kind of recap how, you know, we're going to have Celeste on here in September. And we definitely want to know any questions that you guys want us to ask and, you know, pick her brain about how it is to build a good relationship with food.
Hmm.
And then always remember that Jillian and I are lifestyle weight loss and prep coaches. So if you are looking to be a part of Momshell, we can definitely help you with all things of that nature.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening and we will talk to you next time.
Yeah. Bye, guys.